One of the most recent trips to Louisiana, we went down, my wife's cousin got married in Baton Rouge, and so we went down for that wedding and the rehearsal dinner at Hooters. If I'm lying, I'm dying. And our waitress that night was qualified to work there. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure she was on a scholarship. First time she walked up to the table, my wife's Uncle Don looked at her and went, "Woo, woo, where'd you get them things, girl?" I thought, oh, she's going to get mad. And she didn't. She was very cool. She said, "I bought them." Well, then Don's wife, Lois, said, "You know, I've been thinking about buying me some." Don turned to Lois and said, "You are 62 years old. You getting a boob job would be like hanging a new chandelier in a haunted house." This is the blood that flows through my children. And when we went to the wedding, we stayed with my wife's mom and dad. In fact, we spent 5 days with my in-laws, which on life's list of fun things to do comes in right below sitting in a tub full of scissors. And everybody here has family like this. You have people in your family, you love them. You love them to death. You just don't do real well when you have to share the same house, because your lifestyles are different. And that's the case with my in-laws. I mean, they're getting on up there. They're in their golden years. And see, I'm out late at night doing this kind of thing. And bless their heart, it's all they can do to stay awake through the Wheel of Fortune. You're at their house, you watch American Idol, you feel like a hellraiser. It's 9 o'clock, we're still up, we're crazy! But because they go to bed so early, they get up early. Which is fine. If, like normal human beings, they drink coffee and read the newspaper. That's not what happens in the nut house. My father-in-law, who is retired, who has nowhere to go, gets up at 5:45 every morning of his life. He walks straight into the den and starts watching the Discovery Channel at a volume normally reserved for movie theater sound commercials. So you're lying in bed. The sun has not thought about coming up. All of a sudden you hear,
"Like other predators of the plains, the jackal subdues its victim by clamping his neck and slowly squeezing the life from his body."
You're in the bed going, you know what? That ain't a bad idea. And it's a weird sensation to be mad and learning at the same time. Second morning we were there, I learned everything there was to know about the African willow fly before I had even peed. You know that fly only lives 28 hours? That's his entire life, 28 hours. I'm lying in the bed thinking, boy, you only live 28 hours? You can't afford to have a bad day. And what happens if you get involved with a girl that wants to take it slow? Honey, we're going to be dead in 3 minutes. Spread your tiny wings and fly away. And we always have to sleep on the fold-out couch at their house. Boy, that's a good night's rest, isn't it? Got that one iron bar under your skull, one under your pelvic bone, that last one under your ankles. Sleeping on that thick, thick mattress. I've eaten bologna thicker than the mattress on the fold-out couch. And boy, they keep that house a little warm. The inside of their house is about the same temperature as the bottom of a rocket when it's this high off the ground. And they walk around in sweaters. Is anybody else cold? Is it just me? Is anybody else cold? Hell, I'm naked on the tile bathroom floor, gasping for air. Well, I remember when I was in the 4th grade and the firemen visited our school, they told us that's where the last oxygen would be, right there next to the floor. I'm in the bathroom so long, my mother-in-law's beating on the door. Do you need a correct-all? You eat too much cheese. And I'm not making fun of old people. I'm not. Because I really do believe that's the goal of everybody here tonight. We all want to live long enough to someday be an old person. I do. I not only want to be an old person someday, I want to be a burden to my children. Oh, I know the day's coming. My kids are going to be on the phone with each other going, it's your turn to take Daddy for a while. Oh, he's making those noises. He doesn't even know he does it. If you don't come get him, Todd and I are going to get a divorce. It's going to be your fault. So I'm a bow hunter. I'm a big outdoor guy. I bow hunt. I like to fish. I look for arrowheads all over the country. I love being outdoors. So I'm on a bow hunt in the Northwest Territories of Canada, 30 miles south of the Arctic Circle. And anybody that says we're running out of places for people to live has never been up there, because it's like the moon. There's nothing. I mean, we were staying in this little, we got dropped off by a float plane, and we were staying in this little lean-to down by a lake. But to hunt these caribou, they lived up above the sheep. I didn't know that. I thought, caribou, I've seen them on TV. They go in herds of thousands, and you just hide behind a rock and shoot one. Hell no. They're up there above the sheep. And I'm like asking the guide, where are we going to go? He goes, well, see the top of that mountain? I'm like, oh, no, really? He goes, no, the mountain past that. That's where we're going. So you just walk your butt off. So the first day we go up there, and it seems like we walked forever, and we found a few caribou, but none we wanted to shoot. So we stay out there glassing all day, and at night we're walking back. And I mean, we probably walked 10 or 12 miles. You know, you got these backpacks on, you're carrying your bow, and you're dead tired. And as we crest the hill down in the valley, I can see the lake where our lean-to is. And our guide's like, come on, we're going this way to the left. I go, dude, no. I said, we can cut straight down through here and cut the distance in half, and we'll be back at the lean-to. He goes, we could, but that's where all the grizzly bears live, is right down in that valley. And I'm like, why don't we go this way over here? But I learned an important lesson in that is don't guide the guide. Don't guide the guide. He's the reason you paid him to be there. Well, it was the same thing in my life. I didn't have a great father modeled for me, but that didn't mean I couldn't be a great father. What I needed to do was to find guides. And so I would look at guys that I knew that were great dads, and I would just pick their brains. I'm like, tell me, how do you be a great, I don't know. Tell me how you be a great dad. I would find guys that were great husbands. And I'm like, tell me how to do this. You know, every guy in my family has been divorced for the past 7 generations. How do I be a husband that doesn't end up like that? And you know, one of the things that I learned, and that's why being authentic is so important, because you're not just being authentic with other people, you got to be authentic with yourself. You got to be authentic and tell yourself, hey, this is where I know that I've got a blind spot, or I got a weak spot. Because mine was never alcohol. I mean, I don't have anything against it. It doesn't do it for me. I'm just not a big drinker. It's never been drugs. I'm not going to tell you that I haven't tried things way back in the past, but that never did it for me. But like my dad, I have always appreciated a good-looking woman. So like when we were doing the blue collar tour, and this is going on, I've done stand-up for almost 40 years. This has always been the way I do it. But I knew out of the things that get men in trouble, that's where I was vulnerable. The other two, I wasn't going to go out and do heroin. I wasn't going to go out and get blackout drunk. But I like a pretty girl. So when we would do blue collar, at the end of the night, we'd get through with the show, and the other guys would always go out and hang out at a bar, and they would go, Fox, come on, and let's go have a beer. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to go back to my room and order room service and call home. And it wasn't that I thought having a beer was a bad thing. Not at all. Here's what I knew. I knew Jeff, not being a drinker, if he had 1 beer and we were having fun and laughing and cutting up, I'd probably have 2 beers. And if I had 2 and we're still laughing and drinking and cutting up, I might have 3 beers. Well, now, Jeff's getting happy, and all it takes is somebody in a low-cut dress that smells good sitting down next to me, and I'm going to start flirting with her. And I'm in a really precarious situation where I can do the same thing that my dad did. And so I'm like, be wise. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be vulnerable. Because if you break that thing at home, you can glue it back together, but it's never the same. It's never going to be the same. So be wise and don't if your thing is alcohol, don't go out to the bar. It's going to get you in trouble. Be honest with yourself. All of us have weak spots. All of us have blind spots. But be wise enough to avoid those spots. Because here's what happens. Trust, and you know this with your friends, trust is built, it's like a cup of coffee. You build trust one drop at a time. When you meet somebody, you don't know nothing about them, you have no trust. And then you'll go out and you'll do something together and you go, I really like that dude. And you got a couple of drops of trust in there. And then over the months and over the years, that cup fills up one drop at a time and it's full. But when you break trust, it's like breaking the bottom out of that coffee cup. You don't lose it a drop at a time. You lose it all at once. And when you lose it, it never comes back the way it was before. And so for me, yeah, I like a pretty girl, but I didn't want my kids to look at me that way. I didn't want my kids to look at me the way I would look at my dad when he was on marriage number 4 and we'd go out to eat somewhere and he'd start flirting with the waitress and I'm like, holy crap, here we go again. Because he may end up leaving me at the restaurant and leaving with her. He was good. He was really good. I don't know why only rednecks are seeing UFOs. And here's the deal. You got to discount 90% of that stuff right off the top. Because my Uncle Jerry swore they had crop circles in their yard. Then we found out that his wife had called Goodwill and they'd come and got the trampoline and the boat trailer. So, mystery solved. But let's just say for a minute that aliens really are visiting Earth, but they didn't want people to know they're visiting Earth. It makes sense that they would only reveal themselves to rednecks. Because A, we usually live out in the country, so there's not going to be a lot of witnesses. B, we have no credibility with the media. People might believe a doctor from UCLA if he saw one and said, well, they appeared to be bipods from a hydrogen and nitrogen-based environment whose primary respiratory organ was located within their moist, translucent epidermis. As opposed to Cletus in his overalls going, it looked like a giant booger with real skinny legs. And here's the deal with the abductions. See, rednecks don't get to take a lot of vacations. So if somebody comes around and offers to fly us somewhere for free, we're going. And if you're traveling the universe, who better to have on board than a redneck in case your spaceship broke down? Because we'd have the hood open going, all right, I see what the problem is. Your nuclear fusion doojiggy sprung a leak. But look here, y'all get me a coat hanger, a Mountain Dew can, and some duct tape. I'll get us as far as Uranus. I don't know why, after all these years, my wife continues to ask, what do you want for your birthday? What I always want for my birthday. What's every man on the planet want for his birthday? The same thing every woman on the planet doesn't want for her birthday. Never once has my wife said to me, forget the flowers, forget the presents. Why don't you just lock the door and take me to Squeal Town? But it's what every guy wants. You can be visiting your 90-year-old grandpa in the nursing home and be like, happy birthday, Papa. Is today my birthday? Sure is. Well, help me get my pants off. I don't know why a dog can eat its own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick its rear end for hours and be totally fine, but if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. They need to renegotiate that one. Not qualified, but this time around it doesn't really matter, does it? Oh my gosh. Well, here's the deal. I mean, like all of y'all, I watch this stuff every day, and it amuses me that all these candidates, they just keep promising people more and more and more. And as I watch it, I think that's not really the problem that we have in America. We don't need more. We have so much stuff now, we can't even enjoy the people we love. What we need is more common sense. And seriously. So if I was running, what I would do is use some common sense and start taking away some of the stupid stuff we don't need. I'd call them no mores. Day number 1, no more picking up dog poop. It's embarrassing. We are the top of the food chain. No other animal picks up another animal's poop. Monkeys pick up their own and throw it, but they're kind of the comedians of the animal world. And they're just trying to make the school kids laugh. But they have a rule in my neighborhood. If you walk your dog and your dog does his business in somebody else's yard, you need to get a little plastic bag, pick it up, and dispose of it. So you drive through my neighborhood and there's all these attractive women walking around with poo-poo purses. And I know the dogs are confused. The dog's like, wait a minute, you're taking it back home? Why did we have to walk 3 blocks? I could have pooped in the living room, saved us both some embarrassment. What a stupid rule. Why would they have us pick it up? It's fertilizer. It makes the grass grow. Lord, it's not like some child is going to step in it. A kid hadn't played in the yard since 1982. You know what's sad? We have an entire generation that has no idea how to get dog poop off the bottom of their shoe. But when I was growing up, we played in the yard every day, and every day somebody stepped in dog poop. And when it was your turn, you knew what to do about it. You would hobble over to the curb and scrape the biggest part off on the edge of the curb. Then you would find a puddle and you would swirl the bottom of your shoe around in the puddle. Then limp over to the grass and do the brush stroke back and forth. Then you would find a little bitty piece of stick and you would sit down on the curb and you would pick it out of the zigzag pattern on the bottom. Then you wore those shoes to church the next day. And no more breast reduction surgeries. I mean, why should I be penalized just because your back hurts? Come on. Take an Advil, for crying out loud. No more commercials where some law group is trying to get somebody to sue somebody else. We are the most sue-happy nation on earth, which is why our car insurance is so expensive, which is why our medical insurance is so expensive, all the lawsuits. And it started with cars. Have you been in a car accident? Do you know someone that's been in a car accident? Have you ever heard about a car accident? Now it's everything. Has a woman with a vaginal mesh implant given you the prescription drug fen-phen, which caused you to develop mesothelioma? If so, you could be owed billions. I just remember that happened to me last summer.
Come down here and presented me with the key to the 24-hour fitness. So I thought that was pretty cool, but it's kind of it's a cool anniversary for me tonight. This is a double anniversary. This is my 27th year in the comedy business. And thank you. Remain seated. And it's my 5th year being funny, so I'm excited about both of them, all right? They're both really cool, so we're going to enjoy it. I guess I got to do this before I go any further, I suppose. Get her done. Get her done. That's been around a long time. I remember the first thing I ever sold that had Get Her Done on it was in Florida. Get Her Done condoms. There was 3 sizes: get her, and get her done. All right, that was it. But they say get her done everywhere. That's pretty awesome. I remember, this is how they say get her done in China. Not kidding. This is how they say get her done in Nairobi. I ain't kidding, Google it, all right? You know, this brings back so many cool memories. The last time I was here, the governor of Minnesota come down here and presented me with the key to the 24-hour fitness. So, I thought that was pretty cool, but it's kind of it's a cool anniversary for me tonight. This is a double anniversary. This is my 27th year in the comedy business. And thank you. Remain seated. And it's my 5th year being funny, so I'm excited about both of them, all right? They're both really cool, so we're going to enjoy it. I guess I got to do this before I go any further, I suppose. Get her done. Get her done. That's been around a long time. I remember the first thing I ever sold that had Get Her Done on it was in Florida. Get Her Done condoms. There was 3 sizes: get her, and get her done. All right, that was it. But they say get her done everywhere. That's pretty awesome. I remember, this is how they say get her done in China. Not kidding. This is how they say get her done in Nairobi. I ain't kidding, Google it, all right? When I hunt, I do it a little different than most people. When I hunt, I dress all in orange from head to toe, and I hunt down by the interstate. That way the deer just think I'm a prisoner picking up trash out there. For y'all that don't hunt, did you know this? Did you know a deer gets a new rack every year, just like the Kardashians? Did you know that's true right there? I had a buddy of mine got in trouble. He was hunting. He called me up and says, I'm in jail. I said, what's wrong? He says, I don't know. The game warden put me in jail. It's ridiculous. I said, what'd you do? He says, nothing. I shot 2 wild turkeys. He put me in jail. He can't do it just, no, I shot 2 wild turkeys. He put me in jail. He's a communist. I'm going to go down and see what happened. I go down there about to raise a fuss. Turns out he did 2 shots of wild turkey and accidentally shot the game warden. All right, that's what happened. And his cousin was in a car accident. His face is all disfigured. And he told me the other day, I'm the ugliest man in the world. I just want to kill myself. And I said, come on now, you ain't either. So I wanted to cheer him up. So I run him up to Walmart for a few hours. And it worked. Turns out he's the 37th ugliest man in the world. So there's some ugly folks in my Walmart. What the hell? Remember that website, The People of Walmart? Remember that? I always thought that was hilarious till I wound up on the site last year. Pissed me off. The one time a year I go to Walmart shopping wearing that pink unitard, they're snapping pictures in there for the damn deal. I shouldn't say there's fat, big folks at my Walmart, but I will say this. Yesterday, the junior miss department just put in a potato bar. All right, I'll say that much. They got some crazy shoppers up there, too. Hey, you want to see some crazy shoppers? Have yourself a daggum garage sale. I had one garage sale, never again. Woman comes up, she goes, boy, I like these boots. You got these in a size 6? Oh, no, let me run in the back and check my inventory on these boots, all right? And you never seen more cheap folks in your life than at a garage sale. Guy comes up, he says, how much is this? I go, $1. He goes, does it work? It's $1. What the hell? Do you work? Well, what the hell? Here's the guy that really pisses you off, this guy. How much is this? 50 cents. I'll give you a quarter. I'll give you a dime to get the hell off my property, all right? I swear, they're so cheap. You could have put a $10 bill on the table. Somebody offer you 75 cents for that $10 bill on there. Here's one thing I learned about a garage sale. Never invite your relatives, because they'll see all the gifts they got you the last 25 years up there at that table. Hey, is that watch I got you last year? Shoot, no. That watch you got me, I keep in the safe deposit box at the bank. Are you shitting me? You know, a lot of people don't got a Casio watch with a calculator on it like that no more. Another 5,000 years, that'd be worth $200-300 right there. That's something else. People nuts when it come to shopping. I remember one time I had a couch I couldn't get rid of, so I put that on the curb, said free to take. Daggum thing sat there 10 days. So when I put a sign on it, for sale, $2,500. Daggum thing got stole that night. I hate shopping, especially the grocery store. I always get recognized up there. I hate going up. 2 weeks ago, I went up there. Took 2 hours to get the hell out of there. Caused commotion. So my wife says to me the other day, hey, let's go up to the grocery store. I don't want to go. I'm going to stay home. Oh, come on, go to the grocery store with me. I don't want to go to the grocery store. Oh, you think you're going to get recognized? You think you're so... All right, I'll go to the daggum grocery. Sure enough, as soon as I walk in there, there's the bag boy. Hey, there's that guy that was playing with himself in the produce department 2 weeks ago. Right there, I told you I didn't want to come in here. What the... There's summer last? 48 minutes. All right, I ain't kidding with you. I was just up there. I ain't kidding with you. You could have played this little piggy with my nipples when I was up there. My wiener was like a bear. It went into hibernation for 3 days. I ain't kidding. I could have flashed a cop and not gotten in trouble. I'm not kidding with you. You should have seen it. Looked like a helmet sitting on shrubbery if you looked real good at it. I wish my nipples and this would get together on the weather. My nipples love cold weather. My wiener hates it. I mean, it's cold. They're like, yeah. You know, he's like, ah. He's sucked up in there. It's embarrassing. I went to moon my cousin. Looked like I was pooping a mushroom. All right, I'm not kidding with you. Don't laugh at that. That's not even funny. I don't even know why you're laughing at that. Flipping freezing there. Remember I was there, the bed bugs at the hotel called the front desk and requested extra blankets. All right, I couldn't believe it. And I hate cold weather. I live in Nebraska. You talk cold. You know how cold it was Thanksgiving in Nebraska? This is a true story. There's a knock on my door, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was a turkey wanting to borrow my deep fryer. All right, I ain't kidding with you. It was freezing. My dog licked himself and got his tongue stuck. It was freezing. I had to wipe with an ice scraper. All right, they're not all funny, but they're in a row. All right, how's that? So I'm going for quantity, not quality here this evening, is what you had. I like warm weather. That's what I like. Bring on that global warming. That's what I say. People get nuts over that, don't they? Man caused global. We need to do something about the way we live and we heating up the earth. Oh, shut up. Well, you seen what happened in Washington, D.C.? 27 inches of snow. Explain that. All right, February. How's that? I ain't Nostradamus, but I have a guess what's going to happen in July, too. Hot. All right, it's going to be hot in July. I mean, it's stupid. I got a buddy of mine. Well, you go ahead and laugh. The Earth's heated up 0.7 of a degree in the last 100 years. Oh, well, what the hell? Go home and stab yourself in the face, then. End it, all right? Just end it if it's that bad. How many people have ever gone outside in 100-degree weather and said, boy, I'll tell you what, it feels 3/4 of a degree hotter out here this year than it did last year. There's something going on in this country. Well, I like that warm weather. I don't like humidity, though. I lived in Florida for a long time, and you get it sticking down here good tonight. I had to shoot baby powder up there about every 3 minutes. I was down there in Florida. My mom had to make me a pair of boxer shorts out of a ShamWow when I was down there. I couldn't believe it. It was so hot in Florida one time, my grandpa replaced his hemorrhoidal suppositories with dilly bars. Dilly bars. This show should have been $300 a piece. All right, I'm telling you right now. That was a $300 joke right there. But it's hot in Florida in the summer. I remember in August one time I had a buddy of mine, about 420 pounds. He'd leave my Target with a little plastic kiddie pool. I said, you ain't gonna fit in that to be cool. He said, no, the game's on. That's for bean dip.
Out with my own family, thank you very much. No more breast reduction surgeries. I mean, why should I be penalized just because your back hurts? Come on. Take an Advil, for crying out loud. No more commercials where some law group is trying to get somebody to sue somebody else. We are the most sue-happy nation on earth, which is why our car insurance is so expensive, which is why our medical insurance is so expensive, all the lawsuits. And it started with cars. Have you been in a car accident? Do you know someone that's been in a car accident? Have you ever heard about a car accident? Now it's everything. Has a woman with a vaginal mesh implant given you the prescription drug fen-phen, which caused you to develop mesothelioma? If so, you could be owed billions. I just remember that happened to me last summer. If there is any war on women, it's men fighting with each other trying to get a woman. Because everybody loves women. And you know why every man wants a woman? Because women are in sole possession of the most valuable thing on the planet. A brain. These two guys are like, well, I missed that one. Well, guess what? They own all of that too. Which I think is part of God's great plan. See, I think God created women to guide men through life. But God knew men were hard-headed and men weren't going to listen to women. So God gave women the other stuff just to make us pay attention. I just think he may have underestimated how powerful the other stuff was going to be to us. Well, think about this. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden. God says to them, you will never be hungry, you'll never be thirsty, you'll never be sick, you'll never die. I'm going to come by every afternoon and go for a walk with you. There's only one rule to live here. Don't eat the fruit off of that one tree. Now, God had no more than gotten in his car and driven off when Eve walked over to the tree and picked an apple and looked at Adam and said, think we should eat this? And he looked at her standing there buck naked and went, hell yeah, baby, if you want to, let's do it. If God had put her in a flannel nightgown,
On a late night Arby's run or something, I ain't sure what the hell's going on. A lot of drinking going on in Vegas. I'm not a big drinker. I think drunkest I've been my whole life was Cinco de Mayo last year, August 16th. And I tell you what, one thing I don't do, though, is drink and drive very well. I've never done that well my whole life. You don't want to get caught drinking and driving. You a celebrity, you make the news. I remember the cake boss, Buddy Velasco, got a DUI. Can you imagine the cake boss in jail? I wonder if he took it in the bunt. Took it in a bunt. Start the bus. I had a buddy of mine retiring from the military. We took him to Las Vegas. He got hammered one night and picked up a redhead transvestite, and I tried to stop him. I'm like, don't do it. You don't know what you... Too late, he done it. Next morning, I see him hunched out there on the bench. I'm like, hey, how'd that work out for you last night? He said, it was weird. You ever see that? I go in there, do my business, stand up, gone. Pissed me off. Didn't have time to take a picture, nothing. All right? There I'm sitting on a world record, now I can't get no proof on the daggone thing. I mean, seriously, technology's screwing me out of everything. The maid embarrassed me. She walked in on me naked at 3 o'clock in the morning. What the hell's a maid doing on an elevator at 3 o'clock in the morning? All right, seriously. Yeah. Every time I go to Las Vegas, there's always a buddy of mine. You going to Las Vegas? Yeah, why? Hey, here's $300. Gamble it for me. All right. Call me up 2 days later. How am I doing? You lost everything. All right, I apologize. How are you doing? I'm up $300. I'm doing all right out here. Tell you what, I'll be here another 2 days. Send me $1,000. I'll gamble it for you. Not a good gambler. My wife's pretty good at crap. She wins a lot of the time because she plays topless and nobody's ever looking at the dice. Oh, this'll piss you off. This is what America's come to now. Did you know this? You can actually now get kicked out of a casino for pooping on a crap.
And the thing only hurts when it moves. You just never knew when it was going to move. I mean, you'd feel great. You'd be talking to people. People are like, Jeff, what are you working on? I'm like, well, I was just out in L.A. filming some more of the American Bible Challenge. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus, hold my hand. Help me, Jesus. They're like, boy, he takes that show seriously, doesn't he? But the pain was nuts. I read online doctors that say it's the equivalent of a woman giving birth with no meds. Any women here given birth and had a kidney stone? And both. You've had both. Which one was worse? Giving birth. What about you? Giving birth. Here's my argument as defense attorney for the kidney stone. A year or two after having a baby, a woman will say, you know what, I'm about ready to have another child. You never hear a man say, well, I've about quit puking and crying. I think I'll drink a case of Coca-Cola and see if I can't work up another kidney stone. And when my doctor saw the big one, he immediately started writing me a prescription for Percocet. And I hardly ever take aspirin. I'm like, dude, you're wasting your time. I am not taking Percocet. Oh, you skinny mustache, bow-legged boy. When that thing started moving, I was eating Percocet like they were peanut M&Ms. I went from being Dr. Oz to Keith Richards in 3 seconds. And one night the pain was so bad, I'm telling you, I told my wife, I said, you got to take me to the hospital. The Percocet's not making a dent in this. So she drops me off there at the emergency room and she goes to park the car and I walk in and I walk up to the desk and the nurse said, so what's wrong with you? And I said, I have a kidney stone. And she kind of laughed. She goes, well, you're going to be waiting a long time tonight, hon. I said, no, ma'am, you don't understand. I said, I am in the worst pain of my life. She said, well, you just feel like you're going to die, but you're not. And I said, boy, you don't have a lot of sympathy, do you? She said, oh, you're looking for sympathy. Baby, that is in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. She said that. I looked it up later. She's right. I mean, it is. But she just hands me the clipboard to fill out. So I go in the waiting room. I sit down next to a guy that's got a knife in his head. He's got a knife sticking in his head. I'm like, oh my God, were you in a fight? He said, no, I have a kidney stone. I did this to myself trying to get to the back there. And sometimes when it would move, it would land in such a way it would block the urine stream, and then that ureter would balloon out. And it was the weirdest feeling because you felt like you were going to wet your pants. But then when you went, holy cow, did it hurt. So half your brain's like, you better go to the bathroom. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to wet your pants. And the other half's like, don't do it. It's going to hurt. And the kidney stone was like that Somali pirate in the movie Captain Phillips going, look at me. I am the captain of the ship now. I make the rules. And they had you pee through a strainer. Did they make you pee through a strainer? Because they want to find out what the stone's made of so they can take that out of your diet. So I felt like, you know, at Christmas when you watch the old Rudolph thing, the prospector, Yukon Cornelius. That's what I felt like. Nothing. So y'all, this went on for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, every day I was in this pain. And you know, the thing would lodge and it'd block the urine, and then it would move and it would hurt. And then all of a sudden I hit about 4 days where I felt great. And I thought, well, did I miss it in the strainer? Or maybe I passed it. And so I went back to the doctor and they took another x-ray. Well, the thing had lodged right in a bend in the ureter next to the bladder. But because it was lodged, it wasn't moving, so it didn't hurt. And it wasn't blocking the urine. Men that shave their heads look really cool. 50% of the white guys that shave their heads look like they just murdered their parents. And you're thinking of somebody right now, aren't you? Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever acknowledges this. We just take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. Okay, let me tell you what makes me feel better. When I write this stuff, I don't know if it's just me or not. But when you laugh like that and start punching each other, I know there's others in the club. And I think that's why TSA is always in such a bad mood, by the way. Fact of life, if you wake yourself up with a snore, the first thing you do is look around to see who's laughing at you. Fact of life, when your wife or girlfriend gets tipsy, there is a very fine line between her talking dirty to you and sleeping like a hibernating bear. And by fine line, I mean about half a sip. You wait till we get home tonight, mister. I'm gonna tear you up. And once she crosses the line, you ain't getting her back. It's like the paramedics putting the paddle on a body and doing something. It's only paid off one time. I got a buddy named Perk. He's a carpenter. He wears this phone on a clip on his belt, so anytime he puts his hands on his hips, he butt dials somebody. So one day, Perk butt dials me, and I don't have anything to do, so I'm just listening to him. And I can hear him walking around, and I hear a door open, and I hear a door close. Well, then I hear a lid go up. Being the mature adult I am, I go running down the hall. I find my wife. I'm like, Perk's peeing, Perk's peeing, Perk's peeing. Put it on speakerphone. Me and my wife sit there and listen to my buddy urinate. Halfway through it, we heard. My wife starts laughing so hard she wet her pants, which I think is God's way of saying, verily, verily, do not listen to thee that butt dial ye. That hair up before he snatched that weave out your head. Now, can you see this girlfriend? She going back in the house. No, she going down to the basement. Girl, get your shit and get out there now. Fact of life. If your wife hints she might be in the mood, your kids will sense it and won't go to bed for 3 years. Talking about kids, fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that 4th child rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth. Come on. Fact of life, out of all the dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the meanest because his arms were too short to reach his wiener. That is a medically proven fact. That will make you angry. And you'll never watch Jurassic Park the same way again. Fact of life, if you're driving down the interstate and you come up behind that old pickup truck that has like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back and they're held together by like 2 ratty bungee cords, we all say the same prayer. Dear God, do not let